Let's start with the physics errors that are just annoying. We will work our way towards the glitches that prove we are in a simulation. Number 9 is the cosmic glitch in gravity. This is the first crack in Einstein's perfect painting. For the last 100 years, we thought gravity was constant. We assume the rules here apply to the edge of the universe. But a new study from 2024 says we were dead wrong. Gravity actually weakens by about 1% at cosmic scales. That might sound small, but in physics, it is catastrophic. It means our standard model of the universe is fundamentally broken. But let's stop looking at equations on a chalkboard. I want you to experience this glitch for yourself. I am teleporting you to the very edge of the cosmic web. You are floating in the emptiness between superclusters. You check your instruments to measure the gravitational pull. According to general relativity, you should be drifting toward that cluster. But you aren't moving the way the math says you should. The pull is weaker, and the stars feel too distant. It feels like the game engine is failing to render the physics. You try to fire your thrusters to correct the orbit, but the gravity well isn't deep enough to catch you. You drift aimlessly into the void because the laws are wrong. Let's reset the simulation and give you an AI flight computer. This computer can calculate trajectories in nanoseconds. It tries to lock onto the galaxy cluster ahead of you. It screams an error message because the mass doesn't match the pull. The universe is literally expanding faster than gravity can hold it. This 1% difference shreds the theory of dark matter. It suggests we don't need invisible matter to explain the expansion. We just have to accept that gravity gets tired at long distances. It is a terrifying thought that the fundamental force is inconsistent. But honestly, that is just a math problem compared to this next one. Number 8 is the Schrodinger's cat record. This is where reality officially stops making sense. You have probably heard of quantum superposition before. It is the idea that a particle can be in two places at once. Usually, this only happens to tiny, invisible subatomic particles. But in 2026, scientists managed to do it to a giant object. They took a crystal made of 7,000 distinct atoms. They put it into a state of superposition for several minutes. This object is large enough to be seen with a microscope. It is no longer theoretical physics, it is a visible glitch. Let's see if your human brain can handle the paradox. I am shrinking you down to the size of a blood cell. You are standing next to this sapphire crystal in the lab. The scientists hit it with a specific frequency of vibration. You look at the crystal, and your brain starts to hurt. You see it vibrating, essentially moving up and down, but at the exact same time, you see it sitting perfectly still. It is not moving fast and creating a blur effect. It is literally doing two contradictory things in the same timeline. Your eyes can't focus because reality is layering over itself. Let's try that again, but I will give you quantum stabilized goggles. Maybe the goggles can filter out one of the states for you. You put them on and look at the 16 microgram crystal. The goggles just flash a critical failure warning. The crystal is physically located in position A and position B. If you tried to touch it, you would feel it and not feel it. This proves that quantum mechanics applies to our macro world. It means the chair you are sitting on could theoretically glitch out. It could be supporting your weight and also be across the room. The only reason it doesn't is because of environmental interference. But in this lab, we prove that reality is optional. If that doesn't make you question your existence, nothing will. Number 7 is the impossible radio pulse. This is the signal that shouldn't be broadcasting. Astronomers found a radio source called ASCAP J193505. It is sitting in the southern sky, blinking at us. Usually, blinking stars are pulsars, which spin incredibly fast. They flash every few seconds like a cosmic lighthouse. But this thing waits 53.8 minutes between flashes. That is way too slow for a pulsar to sustain itself. If a star spun that slowly, it should not be able to blast radiation. But this thing blasts a signal that lasts for 5 minutes straight. Let's fly out there and see what is powering this anomaly. I am putting you in a shielded observation pod near the source. For 50 minutes, you sit in absolute darkness and silence. The sensors show nothing but background radiation. You start to think the astronomers just made a mistake. Then suddenly, the entire electromagnetic spectrum lights up. A blast of radio waves slams into your pod. It is distinct and polarized, twisting like a corkscrew. The energy output rivals the brightest stars in the galaxy. Your electronics fry instantly from the magnetic overload. You are being cooked by a star that was dead a second ago. Let's rewind and give you a Faraday cage hull. You sit through the 50-minute silence again. The blast hits, and your cage absorbs the electrical spike. You look out the window to see the source of the beam. It looks like a white dwarf star, but it is behaving like a magnetar. The physics required to produce this slow pulse don't exist. It cycles through 3 different states every hour. Sometimes it flashes bright, sometimes weak, sometimes nothing. It is acting less like a star and more like a machine. It feels like someone is turning a transmitter on and off. We have absolutely no model to explain explain a 54-minute cycle. It is sitting there defying every rule we have written for stars. And the worst part is, it is relatively close to us. Number 6 is the Superfluid Magnetar. This is what happens when a star glitches out of reality. We used to think neutron stars were just solid balls of matter. They are the dead cores of giant suns crushed by gravity. We assumed they behaved like super dense rocks. But in 2024, NASA X-ray telescopes caught one breaking the rules. The solid crust of a magnetar actually cracked open. This was a star quake 1,000,000 times stronger than any earthquake. But what leaked out was not magma or fire. It was a frictionless state of matter called a superfluid. Let's go land on the surface and touch it. I am putting you in a gravity-dampening mech suit. If you didn't have the suit, you would be crushed instantly. Your atoms would be smeared into a paste 1 proton thick. But you are safe inside the mech, walking on the crust. Suddenly, the ground beneath you snaps like a dry twig. A geyser of this neutron soup erupts from the core. You try to run, but you slip because there is zero friction. This fluid has absolutely no viscosity whatsoever. If you stirred a cup of it, the vortex would spin forever. It would literally never stop spinning until the end of time. You fall into the crack and hit the pool of superfluid. Usually, a liquid would slow you down with drag. But this stuff offers no resistance to your movement. You accelerate straight to the center of the dead star. You are now swimming in a substance that shouldn't exist. It is a quantum state usually only seen in labs. But here, it is existing on a macroscopic, city-sized scale. It proves that the universe can run on video game physics. Friction is apparently optional if you squeeze matter hard enough. Number 5 is the Big Ring megastructure. This is a glitch in the architecture of the universe itself. There is a rule in physics called the cosmological principle. It states that the universe should look uniform everywhere. If you zoom out far enough, matter should be spread evenly. It is like a bowl of oatmeal with no giant lumps. But in 2024, a PhD student found a lump that is impossible. She discovered a ring of galaxies 1.3 billion light-years wide. This structure is so big, it violates the laws of physics. It literally should not have had time to form since the Big Bang. Let's take a spaceship and try to fly across it. I am giving you a warp drive that travels at light speed. You start at one end of the big ring and hit the gas. You fly past thousands of galaxies forming a perfect circle. You watch civilizations rise and fall out the window. You die of old age before you even reach the curvature. Let's restart the simulation and make you an immortal AI. You fly for 1 billion years just to map the perimeter. This structure, combined with the giant arc, suggests a pattern. It looks like the universe has a seam or a skeleton. Standard cosmology says these galaxies should be random, scatter, but they are organized into a specific geometric shape. It implies that our model of the Big Bang is fundamentally wrong. Something organized these galaxies on a scale we can't comprehend. It is like finding a perfectly straight line in nature. It suggests that the chaos of the universe is actually coded. We might be living in a structured container and not a void. Number 4 is the surfing flu virus. This is a physics glitch that is actively hunting you. For decades, we thought viruses were just passive dust. We assumed they floated on air currents like dandelion seeds. We thought gravity and drag were the only things moving them. But a terrifying study in 2025 proved they are pilots. Flu viruses can actually utilize electric fields to travel. They use the static charge in the air to surf. This defies standard aerodynamics for particles of their size. Let's shrink you down to the microscopic level to watch. You are standing on a dust mite floating in a living room. A human sneezes about 10 feet away from you. The heavy droplets fall to the floor because of gravity. You laugh because you think you are out of range. But then, you see the viral particles effectively hovering. They are repelling away from the ground using electrostatics. They are catching invisible magnetic currents in the room. You try to dodge, but they are steering towards you. It turns out the moisture in the air creates a charge. The virus uses this charge to stay airborne for hours. It effectively has an anti-gravity cheat code enabled. You pull out a standard paper mask to protect yourself. The electric field actually pulls the virus through the mesh. It navigates the fibers like a drone flying through a canyon. This explains why flu seasons are getting harder to predict. The pathogens have learned how to manipulate physics. They are not just floating, they are commuting to work. And unfortunately for you, their workplace is your lungs. Number 3 is the dark oxygen anomaly. This is a biological glitch that rewrites the definition of life. For billions of years, we had one simple rule for oxygen. It comes from photosynthesis, which requires sunlight. Plants and algae turn light into air, and we breathe it. But in 2025, deep-sea researchers found a massive error in the code. They went to the Clarion-Clipperton Zone in the Pacific. This is an abyssal plain 4,000 meters down. It is pitch black, and nothing should be producing oxygen there. But their sensors showed oxygen levels were actually rising. Let's go down down there and see how this is possible. I am putting you in a pressure-resistant dive suit. We drop you 4 kilometers down into the crushing dark. You turn off your headlights to save battery power. You are standing on a field of potato-sized black rocks. These are polymetallic nodules rich in rare earth metals. According to biology, you should be suffocating right now. There is no plant life here to recycle your air, but your suit sensors pick up a strange electrical hum. These rocks are not just rocks, they are geobatteries. They are naturally charged with up to 0.95 volts. When they touch each other, they act like a massive battery bank. They are splitting the seawater molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. This is called seawater electrolysis, and it shouldn't happen naturally. It means the ocean floor is breathing without the sun. Let's take off your helmet to see if it works. Please do not actually do that because of the pressure, but hypothetically, you could breathe this dark oxygen. This discovery destroys our search for alien life. We used to look for planets that were in the habitable zone. We thought life needed a sun to create an atmosphere, but now we know a dead planet could have breathable oceans. These rocks are generating life support in the void. It is a miracle for aliens, but a headache for mining companies. If they harvest these rocks, they might suffocate the ocean. Number 2 is the quantum tornado. This is a weather event that defies the states of matter. You learn in school that there are solids, liquids, and gases. But in 2024, scientists created a state called a supersolid. It is a mind-bending contradiction of physics. It has the rigid crystal structure of a solid object, but it also flows with zero viscosity like a liquid. It is literally a solid rock that can flow like water. Researchers in a lab used magnetic fields to stir this stuff. They spun it around at supersonic speeds to see what happened. It formed a quantum tornado that mimics a black hole. Let's shrink you down and throw you into the vortex. I am placing you on the edge of this spinning supersolid. You look down and see a structured crystal grid beneath you. It looks like you are standing on a frozen lake of ice, but the ice is flowing in a circle faster than a jet. You try to dig your heels in, but there is no friction. You are sliding towards the center point of the vortex. This center is a singularity where sound cannot escape. It creates an event horizon just like a black hole in space. You scream for help, but the sound waves are sucked in. The rotation is so fast that it breaks the sound barrier. You are effectively trapped in a gravitational simulator. Let's pull you out with a magnetic tether before you spaghettify. This experiment proves that space-time is fluid. We can now simulate the behavior of black holes on a table. We don't need to fly to the center of the galaxy anymore. We just need a cup of this impossible glitchy matter. It forces us to ask if our universe is just a superfluid. Maybe we are all just floating in a giant quantum tornado. Number 1 is the hole in the universe. This is the ultimate glitch that suggests we are isolated. For decades, astronomers have been fighting over the Hubble tension. It is a problem where the universe expands at different speeds. When we look far away, the expansion looks one way. When we look at local stars, it looks completely different. In 2024, new data from James Webb suggested a terrifying answer. The reason the numbers don't match is because of where we are. We are living inside a massive cosmic void. Imagine the universe is a block of Swiss cheese. Most of the universe is dense and full of galaxies, but we are living inside one of the empty air holes. Let's visualize this scale by zooming out to the max. I am pulling your camera back by 2 billion light years. You see the dense web of the universe filled with bright clusters. But then, you see our region, the local void. It is a dark, empty bubble with very few galaxies. Because it is empty, there is less gravity holding it back. So our bubble is expanding faster than the rest of the cheese. This creates a flow of galaxies moving away from us. It creates the illusion that the laws of physics are broken. But really, we are just the lonely kids of the cosmos. Let's try to fly out of the hole to join the party. You engage your hyperdrive and fly for billions of years. You pass the KBC void boundary and enter the dense universe. Suddenly, the expansion rate slows down to normal levels. The stars here are packed tighter, and gravity is stronger. You look back at the Milky Way, and it looks like a wasteland. We are trapped in a low-density quarantine zone. It implies that our view of the universe is biased. We built all our laws of physics based on life inside a hole. We assumed the whole ocean was empty because we live in a desert. It is the ultimate reminder that our perspective is flawed. We are not the standard model. We are the outlier. And that is a terrifying thought to end on. Honestly, I am sick of worrying about physics glitches. I am going to ignore the void and go to sleep. If reality breaks, just submit a ticket to the developers. We are leaving before the simulation crashes again.